Welcome to another episode of Carrie's Kitchen. I'm Carrie Oringer. I'm the winemaker for Cornerstone Cellars, and my husband Jeff.
Hello.
Jeff, hi. Yep, we got a little bit of wine here.
Oh, I love that.
And we are having a show really centered around the fact that this weekend, 4th of July, the biggest grilling day of the year, right?
Yeah.
Tons of dogs and burgers going on the grill, more than any other day.
Absolutely.
So what we decided...
So we're not doing dogs and grill.
We're not doing dogs and burgers today. No, what we're doing is because it's hot, it's a nice, around the country, we're having warm weather, we pulled out some wines and we knew that exactly, these are vegetable wines.
Summertime, it's time for vegetables and white wine and rosé.
And grilled.
And grilled.
So we have a couple of things that we've been working on, and one of them, a recipe actually comes from Sean Robinson. He's our hospitality manager at Cornerstone Cellars, and this is a recipe that he sent over to us this week. And so
right.
We've been working on it. We've made it now a couple of times, and so we're going to make it for you. It's a wonderful dish. It pairs beautifully with this. Well, we think it pairs beautifully with the Farina Sauvignon Blanc from Cornerstone Cellars. We've got the 2018 vintage open, and so we're going to try that. So I'm going to switch places with you.
You got it.
Because you actually have a couple, we're in a couple of steps.
Well, we cheered, so we have to
Oh, we
drink.
have to cheer. There you go.
There we go.
Ooh.
Welcome to another show.
Yeah. All right, well, here we go. So the first recipe that we're going to do, thank you again, Sean Robinson, we're doing a grilled corn chowder. And you don't have to grill it. You can make it any time of the year that you can get a whole kernel of corn. But it is corn season for us, and we've got beautiful corn on the cob coming in. We've had it a couple of times, and we love it on the grill. And so we've grilled the corn that's going to go into the corn chowder.
My favorite part of the grilled corn on the cob is the prep, because all you do is take it and put it on the grill with the husk on it, and there's no prep to it at all. So I always volunteer to do the prep.
That's right. And so how long does that stay on the grill?
That usually stays on the grill for about 10 minutes on one side, and then you turn it, and it does about 10 minutes on the other side, and then your grill's nice and hot, and then you can cook your meat. But in the meantime, you take your corn off the grill, let it cool a bit, and then husk it, shuck it.
So I've done some prep, so because you do not need to watch me prepare 8 ears of corn.
No, and we also started the recipe. What we've done thus far is just do a little bacon in the pan and remove the bacon and drain it. And then we add butter and onions. It's really, really awful stuff.
So this is a point where you could say, I'm a vegetarian, and you can absolutely leave out the bacon. But for those of you that aren't, we put the bacon in. So
the next thing we're going to add is the garlic, and then we're going to have her tell us how she prepped the corn.
So we put the garlic in, and it says 2 garlic cloves. But then for those of you that have seen the show enough, you know that we actually love garlic, so I kind of doubled up on that.
We floss with 2 cloves of garlic. It doesn't matter.
So we've actually got 4 cloves of garlic in there. So
how many? 6, 8, 10?
no, just 4. It calls for 2.
4.
We put in 4.
Okay.
No, just because we like that. So we've got the bacon. We diced that. We put that in. We've got the butter in there for the onions. We used 1 large yellow onion, and then we diced that up. All right, and then this is simple. So the corn is done. You just husk it, corn on the cob, and all you're going to do is you're going to cut off the kernels. I don't know if you can see that or not. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. You're probably all thinking, oh my goodness, Carrie's actually cooking. She's not. She's actually being a great sous chef is what she's doing.
She's prepping the heck out of it.
I did. So you cut all the kernels off.
She cooks too. Don't let her fool you.
I do. So you cut all the kernels off, and then you take the back of your knife, and you're going to take off all the rest of the meat and then the pulp that's there, because there's a ton of flavor there and there's a ton of meat there. Corned meat, you know. So you just do that with the back of your knife and get that nice and clean. So we now have, put this in there. So now we've got a bowl that's got the kernels that we sliced off, and it's got, I don't even know what to call this. The mush, the rest of the meat from the
It's
cob.
called the pulp, and they call it the pulp and
I think
something.
it's called the pulp, yeah. And so, yeah.
Corn pulp and juice. It's
And
corn
juice.
juice and pulp.
And I thought, when I did this the first time, I bet I got it all when I did cut the kernels off, and then realized that There's
There's
an
a whole
awful lot of really tasty, sweet deliciousness in there, and you need that for volume as well as flavor. So,
To get back to the recipe real quickly, after I put the garlic in there, you cook it for about a half a minute or so, and then you add the flour. And while you're adding the flour, you stir it. Sometimes you use a whisk because otherwise the flour can burn. You don't want to burn your flour.
don't want to burn the flour.
And you just mix it until the mixture is complete with the onions and the garlic is slightly softened. And then you move on and you add your corn kernels, as well as your potatoes, your thyme, paprika, and the salt and pepper.
All right, so I'm going to talk about the ingredients while you're adding them. We just prepped the corn. So this recipe does take a little bit of prep. I know we often do things that are like quick, they're easy,
Right.
but this one takes a little bit
A
of
little
prep.
prep, but it's a little complicated. That's
But
just
it's
the
worth
kernels,
it.
not the juice and the
Yep,
pulp.
just the kernels went in so far. So, but it's worth it. So the garlic, we're going to use either vegetable broth or chicken broth for the broth, but you can also, and we sometimes make our own. We actually have it from the store. We bought it from the store.
Organic, it's all
It is
good
organic.
stuff.
Baby red potatoes go in there, about a pound, and we just dice those up, about a half-inch dice on those. Okay,
Here they
there
are.
they are now.
Boom,
Baby red
into
potatoes.
the pan.
So those are going to cook. And then we've got some spices that go in there. Fresh thyme, so we've got a little bit of herb garden going on out there.
You got
A little bit of
paprika,
paprika, just a quarter of a teaspoon of sweet paprika. We're using the sweet paprika.
yeah.
Yep.
If you like it spicy, you can use the hot paprika, but most people don't want it too spicy.
We don't want it too spicy. And now you're putting in the thyme.
Yep.
And it calls for about another quarter teaspoon, but that looks about right.
I used a lot more than that. I
Did
used
you?
a full teaspoon because it smells delicious and it adds a great deal of flavor to the corn.
All right, so we're winging it a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, and that's fine. And then it's going to get a little bit of half and half or cream, about a cup of that. And then we're going to garnish with fresh chives. So those are the ingredients, and they're easy to find. They're not
Oh, yeah.
difficult. They're in your market.
And the stock. I almost
And
forgot
there's the stock. And so there's
Right before
5
you put in the
cups.
corn, you put in the stock.
5 cups of stock. So there's 4 cups in a box of stock, and then there's another. We have another cup.
I did that slightly out of order. You're supposed to put the stock in first and then add the corn, but I just added the corn and then the stock. I just did it opposite.
You know, but I bet if Sean's watching, he's going to go, wait a minute. You should have put that in before.
I should have, and I didn't, but it didn't really matter because the corn didn't burn and neither did the flour, and this is the
That's
extra
lime.
cup.
That's the
lime.
lime. And then there's one more cup. Oop, hey, tall guy. So now you've got 5 cups of stock in there. And that'll reduce down.
It sure will. So you turn the heat up at this point. I was wondering why it was sticking. It's because I forgot the stock. So anyway, you just turn the heat up and you'll get it up to a boil and then you simmer it until the potatoes are cooked
Get soft.
and you get nice and soft potatoes. So
That
is
smells good already. You can smell the sweetness of the corn.
Mhm.
You can tell it's summer. And there's a little bit of that grilliness from it.
There is, and it's just going to come to a boil now, and this is like watching water boil, so there's not much to look at this point. Once you bring it to a boil, you just let it simmer until the potatoes are completely softened. Then you take an immersion blender, which we love using, and you blend about half of it. So you just, you don't have to split it in half and do one half and put it back together. You just immerse it to the point where it's about half emulsified, and then you add in the things that you have in reserve, which is your reserved corn pulp and juice, and then you stir that in, and then add the half and half, and you're complete at that point.
That's it.
Then you put it in your serving bowls, and you garnish it with the bacon that you pulled out originally, and after that, you just put a little bit of the chives on there. So you have a little bit of chives and a little bit of bacon that goes on top, and that is a complete, beautiful chowder.
So, bacon is over here.
The other thing we decided that it needed was the salt was required to balance out the sweetness of the corn. So it says salt to taste, but really you need about a teaspoon to teaspoon and a half of salt But the other thing we added, which is not in the recipe, but it will be soon, is the juice of 1.5 limes.
Brightens it. It gives it a little bit of just a little bit of a punch. There's
And-
nice citrus in the Sauvignon Blanc.
And to add to that citrusy character, we also put in about a teaspoon of lime zest. So you've got a couple of little additions only because we felt like the sweetness of the corn was dominating a bit, and we're just balancing the sweetness with some of the additions that we put in there, including a little bit more salt and a whole lot of lime and lime zest. And that's done.
And
We're
that's
done.
it. Well, it simmers. It's going to simmer for about 15 minutes.
Right.
But so we've
And
got.
from there, once the potatoes are cooked, as I said, you add the half and half, you add your pulp and your juice, and then you serve it with this.
And so we've got a little bit of bacon that we set inside, that we set in reserve, so we can throw some extra bacon. Again, vegetarian.
Bacon. There
You
you
don't
go.
need to use the bacon.
Then
And
you
then
have the chives,
garnish with a little chive,
little green color there,
and that's beautiful.
and she can show you how lovely that looks.
I think I can. Boom, without it kind of losing it. There we go.
There. And it's
Yeah,
gorgeous.
it is.
And it's a very hearty chowder. It's got this bright, refreshing characteristic. It's got some sweetness to it. It tastes like summer, and it's
Tastes like
perfect for the 4th of July, which is right in the middle of summer.
So, while the grill was on, and we had some other vegetables,
Yeah.
we actually put together another recipe, and it's so easy, there's really no reason to write it down. So, grill's already hot, what, 300 degrees or so?
Yeah, about 300.
350. We put some prosciutto wrapped asparagus. So, the trick for us, and I've been to many homes and restaurants where they do this, and the trick is to have the asparagus cooked enough and not burn the prosciutto that's on the outside of it.
That's the funny part. You came up with a solution.
Well, and it's easy. It's you can blanch the asparagus first and then wrap them and put them on. But what you did is you put it on the grill, cooked it about halfway till it got about halfway done, pulled it off the grill, rewrapped them, and put them back on the grill to finish.
So halfway for asparagus is 2.5 minutes about on one side. You stir them, 2.5 minutes on the other. You take them off, you wrap them in prosciutto, and you put them back on for another 2 or 3 minutes, and they're done. As soon as the prosciutto starts to brown, it's done.
It's done.
Just take it off, or else it's going to burn and get really crispy and dry, and it's not very pleasant. So we have our Sauvignon Blanc, and we have this asparagus. I think we should
have
try
these two
it.
dishes. I think we should try
I'm
it.
going to chomp into
So
that.
I'm going to try the wine first. It's the Cornerstone Cellars Sauvignon Blanc from the Farina Vineyard on Sonoma Mountain.
I just tried that again.
And give that a sip.
Bright, citrusy, a little bit of vegetation, you know, a little bit of grassiness, but
Juicy.
yeah, juicy. Should be great with asparagus.
With vegetables.
Yeah.
You know, we've been at meals many times and sat down and said, you know what, we need a vegetable wine for the vegetables.
We often have 2 wines on the table at once because A, we're luscious, and secondly, we like to compare
That's true.
vegetable wines with vegetables, and then we like to have the savory wines with the savory dishes like the meats and fish and things.
I'm getting that nice grill, that grilly
Smells
char
great.
from the asparagus.
The asparagus is prepped by coating it in some olive oil and just a little bit of umami powder and some salt.
Not too much salt
Very
because
little.
the prosciutto has salt in it.
Very little.
Doesn't take much salt. Now that's lovely.
I like the combination of that and the prosciutto. And the prosciutto is cooked
You know,
perfectly.
it is perfect.
And the asparagus is cooked all the way
It
through.
sure
So your
is.
solution has worked perfectly. Oh, that works great.
This brings up this really beautiful juiciness.
Asparagus and Sauvignon Blanc is great together.
It's a natural pair.
And then you have the salty ham, which brings up the fruit. It's just beautiful.
Hey, you have long arms. I'm going to have you reach those spoons. I can't wait to try this chowder
Okay.
with the Sauvignon Blanc. Thank you, sir. I'm grabbing some bacon in there too.
As you should.
Oh, Sean, this is a great recipe. That beautiful sweet corn. Wow, that is lovely.
And Cameron, I think, who is also responsible for this recipe.
Roy.
Roy. Yeah.
Wow. All right, Sean, you were right. That is terrific. Those two together, the 2018 Sauvignon Blanc from Cornerstone Cellars and that corn chowder. It's grilled corn chowder. Now you can make it a couple of different ways. You can just cook the corn and not grill it, or you can put it on the grill. But you know, as you said, the grilling is so easy and it gives it that little bit of smokiness.
Boy, I like the counterpoint of the sweetness of the corn and the tanginess of the lime. I think that addition that we made gave it a lot more complexity. I really like that.
Wow.
They play off against each other.
Not
Plus,
with
then you
bacon.
have that bacon, which just makes everything taste better.
You know, this might actually work with Pinot Noir as well, especially with the bacon. But I think the Sauvignon Blanc's a better pair.
I'd be pushing it
Well,
because it has some sweetness to it.
But I'm willing to try.
Oh yeah.
All right, and so the second wine,
More likely a rosé of Pinot Noir might work.
maybe. So the other wine that we're tasting today is the 2018 Coralina. It's rosé of Pinot Noir, and this is from Headland and Gap over in Sonoma. Ooh, you've got a nice boil in that.
Yeah.
That's the smell that just fills the kitchen with that sweet corn smell, and the little bit of that thyme. You can smell that. That's lovely.
And now we have a simmering process to go through.
Anyway, I digress. So, rosé Pinot Noir.
Yeah.
Bright summer again. I love rosé with grilled food, grilled meat. We don't necessarily pull out a red wine if we've got meat coming off the grill.
No.
And you know, this holiday with the burgers and dogs and everything that's got sausages coming off the grill, this rosé Pinot Noir might be.
Rosé is just so versatile. First of all, it's very, very food friendly. It's very, very tasty and bright. It's very popular. You know, people call about rosé all day and all that stuff, but people in general like rosé, and then if you're paying attention, it goes with a lot of different foods. If you're putting shrimp on the Barbie and all that stuff, works great.
Well,
It's
this would be
just a
good
great
with
thing.
grilled shrimp.
Yeah. Well, let's try this.
Try it with the asparagus and the prosciutto.
Oh, that's not one I would have thought of.
Well,
All right,
give it a try.
Let's give it a try.
Right now. You know, that is an elegant dish. You can put it out as an appetizer. You could use it as your side dish to another grilled item.
Absolutely.
And it looks great, and it was so easy. Well, it was easy because you did it. Easy, super easy for me because you did it.
Well, she gave me the suggestion of just partly cooking the asparagus, and that's the hard part. It's getting the asparagus cooked without burning the prosciutto.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to try the rosé
The
now.
prosciutto only can take about 2 to 3 minutes of grill time. And 2 to 3 minutes leaves you with a raw asparagus.
And you know what? I don't care for it. I've had people serve it that way, but I don't care for it.
And then they cover it with, oh, isn't that asparagus nice and crunchy? It's like, no,
It's raw.
It's kind of raw.
Raw. God darn it, that chowder is delicious. That sweet corn. Man, oh man.
And I'm sorry I said Cameron. I was thinking of somebody else. I think I was thinking Cameron Hughes. I've been working with him, but I should have said Roy. My apologies.
All right, I want to see what you think.
Looking forward to it. Wow. After the asparagus, that just comes across super sweet. There's so much sugar in the corn.
Yeah, this is a crowd pleaser for sure.
Yeah, and you need the balance of that bacon and the lime. It really needs that balance.
You need the balance of the bacon.
That's what we're telling our doctors.
All the time.
Sorry, doc, I need the balance of the
Balance
bacon.
of the bacon, for sure.
Oh, that's very good.
It is good, but I think
I like the Sauvignon
I
Blanc
prefer the
better.
Sauvignon Blanc.
The Sauvignon Blanc is brighter. This is lovely and rich, but the Sauvignon Blanc just has this wonderful acidity that just cuts through it. And I just think it's a better match. And that was the one that Sean said, this is going to go well with the Sauvignon Blanc.
He was
You're
right.
absolutely right. Once again, never doubt the Sean man.
No, he knows. That is delicious. What a great recipe.
And I think that
With the
draws our
Sauvignon-
show to a close. Now we're going to simmer until the cows come
We'll
home.
simmer and then maybe invite some friends over, and we'll have some chowder.
Corn chowder.
Corn chowder and some Sauvignon Blanc.
Or as they say up in
Cornerstone
New England,
cellars.
chowder.
Chowder.
Let's have some chowder
From Cornerstone
for the
Cellars.
4th of July.
Well, I hope everybody has a good weekend. Happy Independence Day.
Absolutely.
And
I'll toast to everyone's freedom.
we will.
Cheers.
Cheers. I'm going to go turn that off now.
I think we should turn that off
I'm
because
going.
we have nothing else to say. I'll just sit here
No, we could talk for
babble.
hours. We
I'll
could
babble
talk for
until
hours,
it's time to
but we're
start.
not going to.
Stop.
And you can song and dance too.
and...